Yeah, get out of here. Hey everyone, Nick Apicella from ResoNix Sound Solutions here with another competitor spotlight, this time on Brian Mitchell. Brian, what is going on here? What are you doing here? And what is this? And what are you wearing?
I'm a Jedi Knight, of course. Right. You don't have to be a Jedi Master to do DSP though.
Okay.
Just, you know. But it does help. Open.
So what do you got going on here?
So we got 3 SE amplifiers. This is what runs the system. We have a 3-way up front with a single 10. So we have a 4200 SE running the left and a 4200 SE running the right. 4200, one channel goes to the tweeters, one channel goes to the mid-range, and 2 channels are bridged to the mid-bass in the door. Okay, that's the same on both sides. And then we're using half of the 2300 to the sub in the front. Okay, so there's lots of little detail stuff. The amplifiers are painted the same color as the outside of the car.
Really?
There's laser etching on it. So I have the name of the car, Evil ELR, in my shop name. Those are all matching the 4200 logo, you know, so matches all the way through. Then we have 2 PSA Pros in the back.
Why 2?
Symmetry. So only one of them's being used, but when I put one of them, it was just looked too small. And why not put an extra $1,300 processor in? If
why not?
You know, just because, right?
Yeah, why not?
But those are also detailed out, painted the same color as the car. The aluminum in the center of the processor is actually sanded with the same kind of process that you'd use for the center of the SE amplifiers. Same direction, so it goes up and goes up. Just little details like that. Black trim around it, so the black trim follows the trim on the inside of the car.
Oh yeah.
And then lots of little detail things, you know, the color of the suede for this, or the color of the leather for the seats. This trim here is the same kind of style, including the thread color. Leather, same leather as the inside Alcantara, and leather and string color. This is one piece of ABS plastic that's bent 5 different ways. Wow. So there's angle here, bent here, and then on the other side.
And it's finished on the bottom too.
It's finished on both sides, yes.
Yeah.
So this piece comes off, this little thin piece of ABS, because if this gets a scratch on it, there's screws that go through there, and so you can replace the clear plexi.
Ah, okay.
If you need to service the LEDs, any of that stuff. So serviceability is everything on all of this stuff. Okay.
Very cool.
So that comes off almost as fast as you can put it together. Then we have little things like there's fusing on power and ground.
Fusing on power and ground?
Yes, because it's an electric car, so if you have any kind of weird electrical freak out.
This is an electrical car?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's similar to the Volt platform.
What,
so you have
car
an
is
engine,
this?
Cadillac ELR.
Okay.
So we have.
So I guess that's where the name comes from, Evil ELR.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I actually never knew. I don't really know Cadillac models. So.
Well, they only sold 2,400 of these in for 2 years, or total in 2 years. So
wow.
14 and 16, and so then on the wiring you have not just labeled and colored text flex, but you also have QR codes.
Yeah, I see that.
And the QR codes go to 110 different things. There's 110 different QR codes in here. Some of them might go to the owner's manual. Some of them might go to a YouTube video to explain whatever's happening. Lots of different places, but every single piece of equipment, all the wires, each side has got a label on it. So again, lots of little details that come in when you go to service it. So if it goes in and somebody buys this car for some reason, they could just look at a QR code and it would tell them everything that they need to know.
Yeah.
The install book is like a owner's manual for a car, or service manual. So
yeah, I've seen it firsthand, and it's, let's just say, impressive.
Yeah. So the back amp rack piece, processor rack, actually use 75-pound magnets. Each one has a stack. You can unsnap them, and then all those go apart, and then you can access the amplifiers. You can access all the wires from the inside behind the seat. Wow. So all the wiring is accessible. Everything here is, there's nothing hidden. Everything is just there. Yeah. So it makes service so much easier. The amplifiers have water cooling. So we have water jackets that go through each side.
This is water cooled?
Yes. So it goes in and out of each side.
Oh, is that what these little tubes are down here?
Yep. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if that does much. So we did a floor camera picture, and showed with the water and without the water.
I did see the pictures of that.
Yeah. So there's we use a PC radiator, the bigger PC radiator with the 3 fans on it. Underneath, a water pump. I use glycol for to pump everything in. There's a small aluminum tank underneath here that is a reservoir, and then there's a pepcock, so if you need to service the amplifiers, you don't want to have glycol leaking all over the place, right? Because it's just messy, it's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
But you turn the pepcock and use the pump, and it pumps all the fluid into the tank.
And you can service it.
And then you can service it and you don't have any more fluid. It's all evacuated up.
Right over
tank's
here?
right underneath here. And then
so that's just a service tank.
Yeah, basically it's just, because once it's filled, you wouldn't really need a reservoir tank.
Yeah.
But it does cool down. You have that much more liquid to cool.
Yeah.
So it keeps everything cool. The aluminum transfers the heat pretty good.
Yeah,
And then if you need to fill up the tank, the fill is here.
Really?
Yeah, so that just goes in there, and you can. So again, I don't want to
never knew about that.
Yeah, I don't want to take the
neat.
car apart to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I just want it to work like it would if the factory did it. They're not going to put a cooling thing for the engine underneath the car, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have a place to fill it up at the top.
Yeah, that's neat.
So lots of cool features like that. Then I needed a couple of small fuses. And normally I put a small fuse next to the small item that I'm using, like LEDs or something else like that.
Yeah.
But according to the rules, they want a little bit more availability for it. You got to reach it within 30 seconds. So we took the factory fuse block out and we added some more fusing into the empty fuse spots.
Into the empty fuse spots?
Yes. So now there's...
So that's right in here?
Yep.
Wow.
So now, so the LEDs, the cooling motor, all that, the fuses for that are right there.
And I'm guessing you have a QR code for that too.
There's a QR code in there for that too. So that's the dogs. They're protecting everything.
Hi. Oh, little piggies. Very cool.
So then if you want to come on to the inside.
Yeah. These doors are huge.
Yes, very heavy. That's one of the naturally good things about the car.
Yeah.
The door panels are pretty heavy. We've done sound treatment on the outside of the door, inside of the door, and then the door panel itself as well, even though it's super heavy. So
what's going on up here? Yeah.
So we have a 4 and a tweeter. One of the cool things that everybody asks about is why is the tweeters pointed down?
I actually was going to ask you if you could explain that part,
Yes.
and I know there's a reason.
There is.
So
you can go ahead and close the door.
I was actually, if there's more light with it open, so.
So the tweeters, if you look, we want to do as much natural sound reinforcement before you start. Get the best sounding position of the speakers before you do any EQ. The less EQ you have to use, the better. Just like a digital picture, anything that you don't have to edit, it's better that you don't have to do that. So if you look at the tweeter from the seating position and you look at it, you actually look at almost the exact same spot on both sides. So tweeter, the sound comes off like every other speaker in nodes.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to be in a similar node on both speakers so they sound similar, to the ear.
Yeah.
So the better that you can do that, and it's much more important on the tweeters than most of the other speakers.
So what you're saying is you made them match visually as well as acoustically.
More acoustically, I mean, they do match visually, but the acoustically is more the reason.
And also I'm taking a wild guess here, but I'm willing to bet you also went through the detail to take the crossover into account and the placement of the mid-ranges too, right?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I mean, I always try to fit them as close as possible, and I do like to have the mid-range and tweeter mid-range above, below the tweeter.
Vertical.
On the pillar.
Yeah.
If it's in a kick panel, I want the tweeter below the mid-range because there's an acoustical effect that will actually bring the level up.
Okay.
So back in the early days when we were doing kick panels, that was one of those.
Before my time?
Yeah, before you were born. When we were doing kick panels, that was one of the little tricks to get stage height high.
Really?
So yeah, it was by putting the tweeter below
the tweeter lower.
Yeah.
Is that just because the reflection is closer, or
don't even really know what the reason for it is.
It just does something.
Yeah, and I don't use it anymore, so I never really paid much attention. I just know that was the trick.
Okay. So what else we got going on up here?
This used to be a wing window.
Okay.
So there used to be a big hole there, and it was a pillar here and pillar there, and a window outside.
Yeah.
So all of the airbag system still works. We made it so it's just flat where it would pop out before, so it still will move appropriately. We suede wrapped the pillar to match the headliner, everything else. The speaker is now in the door. So that started out with a 6x9 factory, and it had like a really weird grill that looked like it was from a Chevy Chevette. It was the worst grill known to man.
Okay.
It was flat and just no shape to it or nothing, and everything else has shape, and it just looked out of place. So
Because this is a really nice door panel.
It is factory. It looks like an aftermarket, like somebody spent some time.
This looks like something Jeremy Carlson built.
Right, and he probably did. He probably did the original design because Jeremy's a badass.
Yeah.
So I took that off, and my goal was that I'd be able to service the speaker from the outside of the car without taking the door panel off each time if I needed to. Again,
so you can service the speaker right here.
Yes,
Just by removing the grill.
Take out that grill.
Okay.
Now that grill. I have a similar grill for the 4, which I don't usually have on unless I'm getting judged because it's so high, but you have to have a grill that matches.
Yeah.
So I did a 3-way set.
For install, you're talking, not for sound quality.
Correct, not for sound quality. And I don't like a grill for sound quality because there are some sound that comes off the side of the speaker.
Yeah.
This whole shape here is designed to be a waveguide to get some reflections off the side window.
So let's see what you're talking. So it's like a full clear path from the speaker to the window.
Correct.
Okay.
So, there's some sound that comes off the side of a speaker, the off access, but all the way to the edge.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people always say about this car is that the width is very wide.
Yeah.
And we're getting phantom width by reflections off the side window.
Yeah.
And there's good reflections and there's bad reflections. You want to control the bad reflections. You want to emphasize the good reflections.
Okay.
So, and that changes by install. That's trial and error on a lot of things.
That's not going to come from tuning.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but that's one of those. Everybody goes, well, how do I tune for width? You don't.
You install for width.
You install for width usually. So, but I took a flat billet and then I machined grills. So this tweeter comes with the billet ring on it.
Okay.
And it's silver. So I took that. There's 3 holes on this one. The speakers all have 6 mounting holes. So I 3D CAD designed a grill that matched that with 6 indentations, like the 3 indentations here.
Wow.
So that's that here. So there's a 4-inch one, that's a 6-inch one. And then I took a bigger, larger size regular grill for the grill material. So the grill material holes match.
Really?
All the way through. Okay.
Wow.
So now I have a grill that I can take off one of the screws there. Some of them are fake, some of them are actually holding stuff. Take that off and service the speaker from outside, so I never have to take door panel off again.
Wow.
Which every time you take door panel off,
it gets worse and worse.
It gets worse and worse. Even if you replace it, you get broken the clip holders and everything else.
Something about it is just not the same.
Right, they're not the same. So
how many times have you taken off the door panel in this car?
I've taken them off probably 6 or 8 times at least.
But that's very low considering what you've done in this car.
Yeah, and I've had this car done since 15.
It's been 8 years.
8 years, yeah. So a long time.
Yeah.
But then I took the original plastic grill, and it was plasti welded in there, and I modified it so it has some pins going through it, so it can be mounted from the backside. Okay. And then that's permanently mounted. But then I mounted a ring to the outside, a thin ring, and then I routed that out, and then I blended that in with Bondo, and then shaped it, and then wrapped it with suede. So now it looks like it belongs in that door, right?
It looks normal.
Yeah. And that's the goal, is that it looks like it was there. I mean, it's even got some scuffs from getting in and out of the car, because the car's got over 100,000 miles on it.
Really?
Oh yeah. So I drove this everywhere. I'm trailering it now, but I drove it until it got to 100,000 miles when the warranty was up.
Wow.
So
what else you got going on up here?
So then we have a up front sub,
okay.
10-inch flat sub, and I wanted it's hard to get an up front sub to either look correct or just to work right. So the sub is pointed down towards the floor, which helps load off it, and then it's tunneled up and it actually exits the front of the dash up in the front, which gives it some help with depth. Your brain thinks that the bass is out there because that's the first time you hear it. So
that's how you're doing it?
Yes, and I've told people for years.
I've listened to the car before, but I never asked you, like, wow, how did you get the sub bass out on the hood?
Yeah, so almost everybody points the sub out, and you get the reflection back here, and so you don't get that depth from that. I
actually do something pretty much identical in my car. I have a piece of wood that blocks it off completely and funnels it all up.
Yeah, and that's basically what this is, but it just loads it to the floor.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to look like it belongs there as much as I can with a big box in the front with a 10-inch woofer.
Yeah.
So I bought a whole entire carpet kit so I could cut one square out of it and use that to cover the box. So now the box matches the carpet exactly.
Yeah, you can't even, it's
hard
to tell.
Yeah.
Obviously it looks like it's closer, but other than that, it looks factory, you know? That's the only sub in the car.
That's the only sub. There's 7 speakers in this car.
You're playing tricks.
Yeah.
No. It's, it is very impressive what you're able to do with just one subwoofer.
Yeah, I went from 215s free air, and I love the 15s. They did some things that the 10 didn't do, but they also energized the whole back end of the car.
Yeah.
And so controlling, vibrations.
It's almost impossible.
There's so much plastic pieces and how they snap together.
Yeah.
So this was almost 20 dB louder.
This is almost 20 dB louder?
Than the 215s were.
Just because of rattle?
Loading. No, loading.
Oh, loading.
Yeah, loading.
You know, I actually have something very similar in my car, and I always wondered if it was just because of the gain settings on my amps or whatever, but I have to drop down the front sub by 14 dB versus the rear.
Yep.
So that's actually pretty interesting that you have the same result.
Yeah, it's just loading in the front of the car.
Yeah.
So and so we have a processor in here. Obviously, we have the 2, but we have a controller in here. And where do you put a controller when the dash looks as nice as this? And I'm gonna pull this cover off so you can see what the factory looks like.
Yeah,
it's
this is a beautiful dash.
Really, really nice looking.
Let me ask you, when you're just driving around with this car, do you have the dash mat off? Or?
No, I always have the dash mat on.
Ah, that's a shame because it's so good looking.
It is, and really, I keep the dash mat pad on to protect the dash from sun.
Okay.
And it does help. There's some reflections that it softens.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, but there's not really a good place to put a controller.
Yeah.
PSC is pretty small, but I was looking at doing something different. So we have this one-way mirror, auto-dimming mirror. I took it apart and I took all of the guts out of it, and then it becomes one-way glass. So when you put light behind it, you can see through it. Okay, so I split the PSC, took the controller and the screen. Now when you do that and you take those screens apart, they bend. The screens are made to fold over.
Really?
So if you fold them 2 or 3 times, they break. They're only made to put together one time.
Yeah.
So in order to make that, it takes 4 or 5 screens, and they're $100 a piece or something.
So this took you 4 or 5 screens to make?
Correct, because you gotta get the position, you gotta mount it, you gotta get the position.
Oh, and the connector breaks or something.
Yes, so you have to keep that in mind whenever you're trying to do that. But then that's on an umbilical cord. There's also some LEDs up there, which are status lights for the amplifiers, so I can tell if there's overheating or clipping or all kinds of different stuff. There's like
I figured those would be for the radar and laser system.
Nope.
Do you have any lights or anything for that?
No lights for the radar. Oh no, I do have lights because they're in the heads-up display.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I put I put an LED on both sides, so the heads-up display.
So you see it right. That's perfect. You see it right in front of you.
Yep.
Look at that.
So, but then that's on an umbilical cord. So if you need to service that, again, everything's about service. That's where I start and end.
Work hard now to make it easy later.
Right.
Work hard now to be lazy later.
So now it's just one screw that you would normally take the mirror off, and you unplug the umbilical cord up in the top, and then you can service that whole piece.
That is insane.
The cable piece goes through, and it's all firmly mounted. And then I took the buttons, and I came into the change pocket, which is a little dusty in there, but there used to be a little change holder.
Yeah.
Okay. So I used that. I routed it out so it's an exact match, and actually upsized it just a hair so it's completely solid in there, better than the change piece was.
Really?
Okay. And then I wanted a feel for it, so I used just regular clear plexi, and then I used a Plasti Dip so it has the same soft touch. As that.
Because this is like a rubberized soft touch feel. You didn't just use Plasti Dip because it's cheap and easy.
No.
You used it because it matches.
For the match. So before I did that, the little buttons here are very hard to line up. So I did the center button, that comes off, and then I could see that through the clear plexi. So that let me do an exact hole. Because even with a CAD drawing, those are put on by hand. So there's
variance.
There's variance. So I used so those buttons are as tight as you could get without making them stick.
Wow.
So I have to say they're perfect. They're
perfect.
They're perfect.
Yeah.
And if they were off a little bit, it would stick because it took 2 or 3 of them to make sure that I got it exactly right.
Cool.
And there's no gaps. There's no nothing. And then I use a GM650 or a DAP. If I'm using a DAP, I use the FIO M11 Plus ESS. or I use the GM 650, which is what I've been competing with for most of the time. The Nav TV, which is, whether it's available or not anymore, worked really well.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the whole car, right?
Yep.
So let me ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
Question number one. What was one change you made to the vehicle this year? Or maybe I don't think you did too many changes.
I haven't made any changes.
All right, what was the biggest change in recent years that made the most improvement, or was like an aha moment for you in this car?
So changing out to the flat sub was significantly better.
Instead of the rears.
Correct. Oh, well, no, because I had an ARC series sub in there, and it was a little undersized. The box was compared to what the flat sub liked.
Okay.
And it was a huge difference. It was like, oh, wow.
You don't really expect that.
Yeah, you don't expect that big of a difference. It's just so musical.
Cool.
So that was probably the biggest difference.
And then what kind of advice would you give to anyone looking to maybe show up to one of these events or maybe even compete in them?
So I think that you should get into as many cars as possible and get some seat time in some of the good cars. And when you go to a show, you'll hear that those are the good cars.
Yeah.
There's local level good cars, and then there's national level good cars.
Yours is okay local.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not too bad. But a lot of people get into a car and they go, I got a great system, or that guy's got a great system, and then they get someplace where there's a big show, where
like finals,
yeah. And then you go, wow, there's a big difference between a great car and a good car.
Yeah.
And so that gives you some good outlook on what it is. I think that's probably the biggest benefit that you can get from coming to a show. So if you're going to plan on competing while your car's being built, go to some shows and sit in some cars.
Yeah. So let me ask you then.
Yeah.
How do you sit in some cars?
Go up and doesn't matter who it is, they're there to show off their car.
Yeah.
There's very rarely anybody who says you can't listen to my car. They may say I want to wait until after the judge has listened to it.
Yeah.
But again, most of the good cars, they don't care.
Yeah. Everyone
here
here is super friendly, having fun.
Yeah, that's
especially you. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm dressed up like a Jedi Knight because.
Well, you are a Jedi Knight, yeah, but let's be real.
I actually do this because I don't want everybody to get so stressed out when they're at these big shows.
Yeah. And you were telling me that the other day.
Yeah, it's just don't take it too seriously. It's car audio. We all love car audio. We're spending good money on it, but at the end of the day, it's for our pleasure, and
we're here to have fun.
We're here to have fun. You know, the judges are doing as good a job as they can. Do they make mistakes? I'm sure they do.
Of course. But you know what? At the end of the day, who cares? It's car audio.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. So if you're going to get in it and money is very, very tight, I probably don't recommend that you go to a car audio competition, because it will, if that makes or break,
control.
If that makes or breaks your life by winning or losing, then it's probably not the thing for you.
Yeah.
So you don't have any control over it after you get to the show. You're in somebody else's hands. So.
But yeah, any thank yous to anyone?
Oh, thank you to everybody. You for being here.
Of course.
Came to see the new car.
God damn it! I'm not gonna explain that one.
People that know.
Yeah.
If you know. The judges, IASCA, Emma, MECA even,
MASQ.
Yeah. But ARC Audio, because they give me the opportunity to go out and do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Robert Lynn, who's the boss, he's a great guy, and he believes in high-end car audio. Robert Zeff, who designed the amplifiers. Brad Ott in the office, who gives me a hard time whenever I come in with some crazy idea. And I don't really have crazy ideas, because you see most of this is pretty simple.
This is, on the grand scheme. On the bigger picture, this is pretty simple.
Yeah.
To most people, this is you know what? No. This is nothing about this is simple, Brian. What are you talking about? Nothing about this is simple. Nothing about this is simple.
Maybe,
Stop
maybe.
it. This isn't simple. But it looks simple.
It's a basic three-way though.
It looks
with
simple.
A sub.
And it functions simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's made to work every day. Anybody can get it and operate it. Yep.
And it does. You know what? One last, since I don't think you even mentioned it in the beginning. I don't know if it's obvious by now. You obviously work for ARC Audio, great car audio company, great people there. How can someone maybe find ARC Audio products?
Well, go into a store and ask for that over and over again, and usually they'll bring it in. But we have a dealer locator. I'm pretty fortunate because I have a store as well as working for ARC Audio. It's very difficult to get in the store. You got to know the knock. You got to do all that stuff because I'm traveling so much, so I don't do a lot of cars.
Yeah.
But
more of a private shop, right?
Private shop, yeah. My front door is not open. It's if you call, you have to make an appointment, and like I said, you usually have to know.
You got to know to know.
Yeah, because I'm out about a year and a half. Yeah, right now it's about a year and a half.
You haven't even been home much.
And I've been gone for over 4 months this year.
Oh my God!
So on the road teaching, teaching classes for DSP.
Yeah.
But the big way for you to find it is find a good local shop. If there's nobody in that's online, you can go to our dealer locator and see if there's somebody, and then deal with a local shop, somebody that's around you that deals with the product that's an authorized seller versus some guy who says he can get it from his buddy down the road or whatever. Is probably not the right way. And once you buy the product, we want you to be happy with it. So we're well known for our service.
I've heard your level of support is next level.
Yeah. So people call me up, they message me on Facebook, Instagram. Everybody can add me there, and I make sure that I answer questions, even if it's just I'm thinking about looking at this or that, and I'll give product recommendations. But you call in the office, we have people that really care about what we do. Yeah. So everybody there will help you.
Cool. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, cool. Thank you for chatting with me. Thank you for showing everyone your very simple system.
Simple, yeah, simple.
And good luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.